I want to switch gears to what I think is one of your, maybe your core thesis, which is around this idea, and it's really kind of stuck with me when I was reading this, but this idea that capitalism is dead and we're in this managed economy. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that, and then
Definitely.
how, how do you position within this new world? And you've maybe alluded to some of that already, but what's your view there?
All right. So I love when people don't like this theory because then they start spouting ideas from civics class in middle school about how the United States is so wonderful because we have this free and open economy. And I'm like, have you tried to open a coffee shop where you've got to have like, syringe containers in the bathroom and seven handrails and like, all this? Okay, how free does that feel? Because that doesn't feel that free to me, right? I mean, like it's so then people start fighting back on you on that, all this stuff. And then where this really, really gets interesting is I've had the benefit of meeting all these people that sort of like were really high level all along my career. And I'll never forget the chairman of like what's now the fifth biggest bank in the country. He told me about this, like, he was like a headsy philosophy guy. And he was like saying how he asked the regulators why the U.S. doesn't fix the price of oranges, and I wrote this in my gold book, and the regulator was like, it's a free market. And he's like, yeah, but you fix the cost of money. You fixed interest rates, which is like, that's telling people what the money's worth, over time. And the guy was like, I'm not happy with that question. So we started out, it's a slippery slope, right? We started out pegging the cost of money. And then around 25 years ago, we said, well, we have to manage that more because we need to avoid crisis. And everybody said, well, that's true. Crisis is bad and people lose their house and, they might actually, like lose everything. And some really smart people, really, really smart people, they said, well, we know that if people lose everything, they're not going to be good soldiers anymore. So they're going to, because like right now, I've never spent personal time with you, but I'm assuming, you have a place and you have a car and you have a retirement account. And you have all this stuff, and you're like, you're in this game and you're like, well, I got to take care of my stuff, and but what if you just lost all that, and then there was no chance of any kind? I mean, you would start surviving. And when a human being starts surviving, it's a nasty outcome, because we're very civil people. And then with nothing, we drop that. And people always say 72 hours of no power, no water, no standard of law. And you don't want to see that. Okay. So what does that have to do with the managed economy? Well, we figured out that when people fixate on this idea of their place in the game, they're very controllable. And if you notice, we send the market up, a little bit here and people feel good. Green is good. And then we send it down and red is bad. And we panic. And then we have some news headlines and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then tomorrow it's back up half as much. And everybody feels okay. I'm still worried, but I feel a little bit better. See how it goes? So nobody sees where it's going. And so we have to pull the market back a little bit to rein things in. We have to tighten. It's like with housing. Housing got a little out of control. People are buying these cardboard boxes for like too much money with really cheap rates and all this stuff. And so we needed some time to like pull that back in a little bit. And that's what we're trying to do, but not too much. You notice how we get the mortgage rate, a little bit how we like it. We can't just peg it where we want it. We have to kind of move it down like it's a market. And if you notice, we're kind of managing. We're not going to let too many people be foreclosed on. We're not going to let too many businesses fail. We're not going to let people just freak out completely. But we had Liberation Day where the market went down a lot, and people sort of freaked out. You notice we have all these shocks. And so what we're learning in these shocks is we're like, okay, you got to buy the shock, but you don't want to trade this thing the way we traded in the 80s, where it was like, you were really trying to get your finger on the pulse of actual commerce. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What matters is the managing the blob. That's what matters. And there's a lot of distortions, and these distortions cause abundance in a very small group of the population. Because if you position yourself properly, like in the markets, it's algorithmically, you can take huge advantage of this. And the average person can't do that, which is okay. But you have to see that game or else you're not going to be able to play your game. And so to think about this is like actually getting your finger on the pulse. What's the Fed going to do? What's the unemployment rate? None of that matters. This system has got to get bigger, but not too fast. Okay? It's got to get bigger. If it gets smaller, then all bets are off. People are going to lose their minds. They're going to quit playing the game. Like if your house starts going down in value, you're going to stop paying for it. That's what people did after the '08 thing. They just mailed the keys. Remember jingle mail? That's what they did, especially in Chicago, where you are. It's like people were like, I'm not paying for that. It's a war zone. So I'm going to pay for it if it's going to go up. I'm not going to pay for it if it's going to go down. That's the mentality. So the people in charge know that. They know that we have to keep you positive. And we also have to pull it back in, because if it gets out of control, we lose the currency.
Right.
See, it's very complicated. So this is psychological management. We have like Freudian psychologists that are designing the Fed speak, the government speak. Some people are better at this than others. Do you notice? Some talking people are better at doing this than other people are. Basically, we have promotion. That's what we're doing. We're managing people's expectations. We got to keep you believing in this game. And the game is that it's a market system. Now, don't freak out. Everybody watching this, don't freak out. This is actually a good thing, because capitalism was a lot harder. Capitalism was way harder because you had to go and save up capital, which took forever. I mean, there was no like prediction markets for you to bet on your phone. Okay. Like capitalism was rough. I mean, you had to spend less than you earned. I mean, if that doesn't frighten you in today's world, nothing will. Okay, so we're now in this place where you can be a watch flipper, you can bet on all kinds of things, 24/7, 365. You can. It's nuts. Like none of this was possible during capitalism. So before you go like wishing the United States was a big 1925 hardware store, be careful what you wish for. I'll take this. Because this is a situation where we can move quickly with lots of information. There's lots of change. Change is really good. In capitalism, there wasn't as much change. Things were very, very steady. You worked for some rich guy's company, you're going to work there for like 20 years. I mean, forget about it. There was no the mobility was hard. It was very, 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 very hard. The people that were at the top, they pretty much stayed at the top. Now you meet people that, like I told you earlier, everybody grew up poor. See what I'm saying? Nobody in capitalism grew up poor and ended up with 9-figure net worth. I mean, forget about it. Like, forget about it. So now this is a much better time, but you got to see the game for what it is, or else you can't play it.
Awesome. Well, EB, we'll leave it there on that positive note. I appreciate you coming on again. Really enjoyed this. Before we let you go, though, again, where can everyone find you and subscribe to the Tucker Letter?
EBTucker.com. It's the Tucker Letter on Substack. We only send it to you every second week on Thursday. We don't bother you. There's no advertising. There's no solicitation, no spamming, nothing. So it's EBTucker.com. You can read as much as you want. Don't read when you don't want to. This is a super libertarian place to read and learn. You should be learning. And the things that we talk about, Ryan, they should make you curious about other things. That's the purpose of reading a newsletter. It's not to be sold some ticket to some place that you're never going to get to. The purpose is you should read an interesting guy that talks about interesting stuff because it enhances your life. Okay, that's what we want people to. You're going to see that when you start reading. This should be very fun. It can change your life in a good way.
Well, EB, thanks again. There's a lot more that I wanted to get into, so hopefully we can get you back on here
at
some point in the future. Absolutely.
Yeah, next time.